you have to die every day until you change the outcome. Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 180, and I am your host, the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. For the movie discussion tonight, before we get started, have to go around and meet the fellow bros. We begin with our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Now, Ronnie, I'll be honest with you, this might come as a shock. I'm not a billionaire. But
what?
I know, let's try and get past it. But I would still like to go out in the middle of the night and beat up thugs. Am I legally allowed to do this in my suburban neighborhood?
No, you need to have money. Sorry. So, the law doesn't apply to anyone with money. Like that's law 101. That's your first day of law school. So, you just saved yourself $130,000.
So when I'm beating people up, should I just have like a bank statement on me if I ever get
hurt? Your tax records would be great. Definitely your 401ks. If you have,
you might want to give them your social accounts too.
Yeah, you can just give your social right now. That way, everyone has it, so they can
It's 6.
Yeah. You're old.
I was one of the first people to get one. Yeah.
You got up early that day.
Got an OG number.
Yeah, what a lot of people didn't know is you can actually get in line online first. So
shit.
Yeah,
wow.
You probably ended up with a double-digit one, didn't you?
Dude, I don't even want to tell you how many digits.
No, it's a personal question. Next, we go to the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Hey, Banner, are you vengeance?
Yeah, I die hard with vengeance.
Oh, I see what you did. All right, well, that's all we have for tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else you want from me.
Everyone pull over for emergency vehicles.
How many is that? The second Die Hard, or did they actually have one that was just Die Hard 2 before they started?
Yeah, there's just Die Hard 2. So the first one, they're in Nakatomi Plaza, obviously. Right. Then the second one, he's in an airport in D.C. or maybe New York.
That's the Jeremy Irons one, right?
No.
Jeremy Irons isn't the second one?
No, he's the third one. That's Die Hard with a Vengeance with Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the third one.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't test me on my diehards.
I would never dream of it. All right, here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, we start every episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. And Brian, I believe this was your idea. So we've done a segment, I believe 5 of them, called In Defense of Villains, where we pick a specific villain from a film or a franchise, and we defend them. We take their point of view and say how they're misunderstood, and a lot of times the film is not giving you the full picture. It's very slanted perspective. Well, Brian had an idea, and I've actually just inverted the title, of doing a segment where instead of defending a villain, we actually attack a hero or a protagonist. So I've taken it upon myself, Brian, to call this In Offense of Heroes.
Okay, I like it.
Patent pending. And today is actually the first iteration of this, although I guess you could basically include it in our In Defense of Villains segment. And we've decided to do, since a new iteration of this character just came out in theaters a few weeks ago, Batman. And instead of picking a specific movie, I think we're going to let each bro decide. I have one specific movie that I'm actually going to target Batman from and all of his shortcomings. But really, if you want to do him across his filmography, or really just as a character, you can do that as well. But for my argument, I thought it would be easiest to focus on just one specific film and how he's an asshole. So maybe you guys took it a different way. So this is In Offense of Heroes, Batman, in basically all of his movies. Brian, since this was sort of your conception, would you like to lead us off?
Sure, I can start the discussion tonight. Look, guys, sure, what happened to Bruce Wayne sucks. It's kind of fucked up. He saw his parents get shot in front of him, right?
Allegedly.
I mean, it's still in the court system, as you know.
It is?
But that doesn't give you the right to just do whatever the fuck you want the rest of your life, beating the shit out of people. That's not what your parents would want. That's not nice. You're not helping society any by beating the fuck out of people.
I think What Bruce Wayne really needs is like a slow pitch softball team that he plays on once a week, where he can just take out his aggression.
Yeah, I agree.
Or like a rec basketball league that he plays in.
I mean, what in canon and how old is he when he quote unquote witnesses his parents being
8?
killed? Right?
I want to say 8.
Yeah, I'd say like 10 maybe.
First of all, and this is true. This part's not a joke. Eyewitness testimony is the weakest form of testimony in law. Like, it's not strong evidence. Okay, and I'm talking about like adult eyewitnesses. You're bringing a kid into this. All right, like Banner just mentioned, what is his trauma that he's actually seeing? Is he even old enough to process what he's seeing? Does he see everything he thinks is seeing? Maybe he felt he twisted it differently in his head. So
are you positing that his parents weren't shot?
Oh no, I'm not saying they weren't. I'm saying what the impact to him was.
I mean, my parents personally have never been shot, but like that would probably fuck me up if they did.
Yeah, but you're so little. You're like, okay, well, cool. I get to live with Uncle Alfred. That's awesome.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like maybe over time he kind of like magnified the trauma.
Right, exactly.
Especially because let's be honest.
Okay.
And I'm no psychology major because apparently you have to attend class to get the fucking degree. But he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. So he probably did not have many tribulations growing up. So, and I'm not saying that like having your parents shot in front of you wouldn't affect you if this weren't the case. But if you have other things you're dealing with and like shit that happens in your life that sucks and then that happens, it's kind of just like the cherry on top of the already shit sundae. For him, it was like, holy fuck, what is adversity?
Exactly. Like, I mean, he's never seen any, but I mean, I'm not trying to, I hate comparing, but he's not the first kid to have his parents die, you know? And those people usually don't grow up to just beat everyone up senselessly.
I will say, like, the general concept of Batman, he claims always that it's for the good of Gotham City. And I think Rachel Dawes calls him out for this in one of the movies. She's like, it's really kind of like for you, though.
Here's the thing. I'm busting out, guys. You know where I'm going with this. You led me right to it, okay? I'll say it. Batman's kind of like Putin in Russia. I'll say it, okay? We let him get away with shit, just this little petty shit all the time, and then now it's a big deal. Because he's going off the deep end. He's going to fucking kill somebody. That's Batman. Well, he's rich. Not. He's rich, so he just keeps getting away with this stuff.
Why are we drawing a line at killing? Like, he's not going to kill anyone. That's not that, you know.
I know when I played the Arkham games, there's a couple times I beat up a thug. I was like, I'm pretty sure I killed that guy.
I always love running people over with the Batmobile, and they're like, "You didn't kill him." I'm like, "No, I literally ran their head over."
Like I backed over him 7 times. Like if he's not dead, then there's something seriously wrong.
So can we get into like, because I think, you know, and Horns, you like referenced it. You have a specific kind of like movie you want to attack, like, so just because we're talking.
And I like Banner's idea, but there's so much shit. If we just leave it open to everything, it's like, where do we even? We could destroy them all night.
I was gonna say, like, I think what we're talking about really works in well, and you mentioned Rachel with the Christopher Nolan Batmans, right? Like, so you know, he's what we see in Batman Begins. He goes off and he's fighting thugs in Asia, and then he's recruited and so like, you know, he thinks he's gonna do some good, and he goes back to Gotham. And, you know, maybe he does okay. He does okay in the beginning, right? But what do we learn in the second movie? That he's
batshit crazy.
Well, yeah, but what he has done, his action has now caused not just equal reaction, but exacerbated reaction, right? So, like, you're going in there and helping these people, quote unquote, by beating up the thugs and going after the corrupt. And then what happens? Does the mob see this? No, they escalate. They get bigger and more intense. And we see this throughout the Nolan movies. Whereas Rachel made comments like, you know what Bruce Wayne could have done to make a difference? Invested in the city. And I know he donates. We get that there are charities and there's orphanages and all that kind of thing. But he could have systematically changed the city and the funding that we're seeing for these children growing up, because they have no choices but to go in the streets, but to go in the sewers and work with Bane, because they have nothing.
He should have ran for like city council or something, because everybody loves a sob story. Like, hey, when I was 8, my parents died in these streets, and I want to change that.
You can argue there's no Joker without Batman. If Batman doesn't show up,
oh, definitely,
that doesn't happen.
I think it's referenced. Is it in The Dark Knight Rises when John Blake says something to the effect of like, yeah, kids go down there because they think there's like work, like there's no
Yep.
other place to find jobs, basically.
Yeah. Sad.
Although, let me just, and I know devil's advocate is not really a role we want to play here because we're trying to attack the protagonist, but do you think, and this is specific to the Nolans only, because this is how Bruce Wayne was portrayed, and I actually love this part of his character, do you think that his lack of philanthropy is to only help build that persona of like this devil may care attitude and this completely oblivious playboy who's like so like born on second base and thought he hit a double and is so oblivious to the problems in Gotham that he's not even using his wealth to help mitigate some of those issues?
I think he works hard, he plays hard.
Yeah, but that, I mean, to that point, that only serves the purpose for Batman.
Exactly.
If he decides to go all in as Bruce Wayne and donate and invest in the city and infrastructure, right, and education, these kids won't turn to like, you don't need he's the playboy persona to make himself not a suspect for Batman. That's literally all it is.
Correct.
Right, like we saw in the Nolan ones. That's one as I'm referencing. When he went to China, when he went to Hong Kong to get Lao, they do he parties on the boat with the Russian ballet.
He takes the whole ballet with him.
He takes the whole ballet with him, right? Like that's a cover. That's the whole existence of his playboy, personality. But if he fully invests in the city and works with that, then you don't need that. He can just be the face that he wants. He's jealous of Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight. He's jealous that Harvey Dent is the White Knight.
And not just because he's dicking down Rachel, although that is a part of it.
Well, that's a big part.
Minor detail.
But yeah, to me, I'm like, dude, I get it. You probably get off on it some level. Let's admit he's a, psychopath. Maybe he's a good psychopath. Like he helps, he's a side of good. But there's something in there in that psychology that he'd rather go beat up people than, I don't know, donate just a percentage of his wealth to make a difference.
Someone should tell him that could be a tax write-off also.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, because I think something about it, but I don't want to give it away because I haven't asked you yet. Is Batman fall under, or does he have what I'm going to coin the Dexter issue? The Dexter, what's the word I'm looking for here, guys? Syndrome.
Trying to say. Okay.
Dexter syndrome, where he's really a bad guy, but we can't help but root for him.
Is this similar to McGregor syndrome?
Stage
no, I
two?
literally
that's been cured, so we're good.
Yeah. I literally just made it up. Like,
no, I know.
Dexter, right? He fucking kills people. That's not good, but he kills bad people, so it's okay.
But
that's
the thing
basically
about Dexter,
what Batman's doing, right?
Except the thing is, Dexter doesn't have the means to fix Miami without being able to kill the serial killers.
Yeah.
Dexter is on a government salary in Miami, Florida. He lives in like a 2-bedroom apartment. Like,
yeah, so he at least has plausible deniability. Like, this is the way that
he has no other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And he sees how corrupt their cops are. Batman sees all that, but again, when you're a billionaire, like just a couple $1 million would just change everything, depending on some of the, who knows what the budgets are of these.
Well, the interesting thing about that argument too is you don't even necessarily have to say like you can't be Batman, but imagine Batman in tandem with Bruce Wayne, all the good they could do.
Dude, I think that would be a good cover. Imagine if Bruce Wayne like, hey, I'm going to help out this Batman with cleaning up the city.
Basically, if Thomas Wayne, and again, we're talking about the Nolan ones here. If Thomas Wayne doesn't die, or if Bruce takes up what Thomas Wayne started in all the donations and helping build the city and the train system and everything, and Batman, that's shit.
Yeah,
we wouldn't need Batman anymore.
It is kind of interesting that in the Nolans, he wasn't more interested in basically like taking the baton from his father. Because Thomas Wayne's, his entire plan to gentrify Gotham was obviously strictly done through Wayne Enterprises. And Bruce seems not, she's like, no, I'm just going to kick the shit out of villains at night. Good idea, though, Dad. Miss you. Love you.
We could argue that Bruce Wayne's finances weren't as good as they seemed, because in The Dark Knight, he goes like 1 week without payment and they take all the shit.
Yeah, we've talked about this many a time off pod, but like in The Dark Knight Rises, there's some definitely questionable Like
The plot is thin.
he appears to not be rich. Not only not rich, but like he misses one mortgage payment, which I still can't believe Wayne Manor
Well,
isn't
no, he
paid
doesn't even
off.
miss a payment. There's just one news report of him losing his money, and they shut everything off.
Yeah, I'm not.
Wait,
Like,
I don't
You know
know,
what we're
guys.
talking about, right?
Batman's, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Batman's not a great guy. I think he has good intentions. He just doesn't
Sure he
execute
does.
it well.
he doesn't realize the other options in front of him. I think that's the thing. We have to admit, like, that's why I love, I'll be honest, Batman is my favorite superhero, not just because of Batman.
Disgusting.
I love his villains. I love his villains because they acknowledge, like, the Joker acknowledges very much, like, hey, we're not that different. The Riddler in the newest, in the Batman, the one that just came out, acknowledges and references, no spoilers, that they're similar. They have similar goals, right?
Yeah.
So you're
Even the
talking
Joker
about
in The Dark Knight says it.
exactly, like, they're saying you complete me, like they're balanced to each other. So you can argue that these villains are looking at Batman like there's really not that much different between them psychologically. So we're sitting here like that's the problem with Batman. Bruce Wayne can save but Gotham probably 10 times better as an individual, as a rich citizen. But Batman has a psychological problem that he needs professional help for.
And again, you could have them both. Bruce could have his cake and eat it too. But we just don't. There's even actually a line in the Batman, and it's in the trailer. So again, this isn't a spoiler, where a woman says to Bruce Wayne, like, as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
Yep.
Which maybe he's overdoing it again to sort of sell that oblivious playboy persona.
But I think that would be a good cover too, because a Playboy, I understand, is a good cover for Batman. But if Bruce Wayne was out there giving to the city, why would people automatically think like, wait, is he Batman? More people would be like, he's definitely not Batman because
Right, he's doing it with his money.
Yeah.
right. So
And you could very easily throw people off the scent with that. Like, no, why would I be going around fighting criminals when I'm doing so good here in a non-violent way?
he could even call for the Batman to stop.
Yeah.
He'd be
Yeah,
like,
that's
hey,
actually-
Batman, I see what you're doing. I really appreciate it. But hey, let's clean up the city lawfully.
But I got this.
Yeah. Like, let's work together. Like,
The best use of both worlds is in Batman and Robin when Batman pulls out the Bat credit card.
yes. He gets a lot of
Now he uses it to bid on a prostitute, essentially.
You always
Fine.
You always want to start a conversation with the Batman movie that does it best is Batman and Robin. That's always
correct.
That's when
Yeah.
people go interesting and they start to lean forward. Like, where the fuck is this going to go?
They lean over their scotch and brandy and say, "Do tell, good chap."
Let's just admit you cannot be a superhero without some mental defect. You can't be a normal person.
Yeah, there's nothing like a normal psyche doesn't tell you to do the things superheroes do.
Yeah, exactly. And
if you wanted to do that, you'd be a Navy SEAL. If you're just normal.
And
Normal
for me, that is Batman's biggest flaw, is that he doesn't acknowledge, and you see it. This is a theme. You see Alfred say it many times, especially again in the Nolan ones. You see Rachel say it, that you don't need to do what you're doing to make a difference. And again, he has this rage built in from his parents dying, which again, dude, like, I'm not saying that's not sad. It is, but like Banner said, like, is that the only time you've ever had hardship in your life?
Well, I think those things are mutually exclusive. Taking out vengeance in the middle of the night and like mourning your parents' death. I think there could be a Venn diagram where there's really no intersection.
He's the only one that line
Right.
touches.
Batman is the middle part between the two circles.
He's just
So those
got
are
one
the
circle
Nolan
in one arm and the other one in the other one, and just holding them together.
Yeah, he's choking a masked hoodlum.
So that was the Nolan's horns. I got to ask you, because I know you recently watched the 1966, right? The Adam West Batman. So how did that get you thinking?
Yeah, so when Banner came up with this idea, I started to think, all right, let's go back to the first, to my knowledge, there may be a different one out there, but the first big screen adaptation of the character. And I don't think there's any debate that this adaptation is, even the Joel Schumacher iterations, is far different than any iteration we've ever gotten of the character, right?
I've never seen it, so I would assume so, but
I remember a little bit. I remember as a kid, more so the TV show. I think I remember like glimpses of the movie.
So I wanted to go back and rewatch it to see if it has the DNA of the character still in it. And it's deep, but it is there. And I think the one thing that Batman has that really no other superhero has is because he actually doesn't technically have a superpower. You really see a lot of the things he's doing, he's like trying to overcompensate for that because he needs to make himself the superior, the big dick in the room every time he walks in. And Bruce Wayne just inherently has that because he's a rich billionaire. Batman has to find ways to manufacture it. And I have an extensive list of things I picked up from the 1966 Batman. And we can just rapid fire through these, but I want to bring them up and get your guys' opinions on them. So this is chronologically as they happen in the movie. And Banner, since you haven't seen it, these will, I want your opinion specifically, because number one, these will make no sense. And number two, you're going to be like, what the fuck happens in this movie?
Can I just say the opening scene you described to me? I was like, what?
It's absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, but it is insane. Like it is, like when do we do the commentary on this? Is what I'm asking, because there's actually a lot of fighting in it too. It's not good fighting, but there's a lot of fighting. All right, chronologically, first thing that happens, the movie opens. Dick Grayson, dude, 16, 17-year-old kid, horn dog, going into his senior year of high school probably. He's on a beachside vacation. Batman rips him out of it because it's time to fucking crime fight. Like, Banner, that's a little fucked up, right?
Yeah, come on, man. Like,
give him
his last hoorah.
Like, you can't handle it on your own. You didn't even want a fucking sidekick, and now your sidekick can't go on spring break his senior year. I don't know, cycling. If spring break isn't sacred anymore, what do we still have?
And that's the thing about Batman. I'm like, do you want Robin as a partner or not, though? Like, you can't, like, he's always a dick to Batman, or to Robin. And then he's like, oh, you're having a good time? Oh, fuck that.
Don't get me wrong, Robin says a lot of stupid shit, but it's not going to help with
what kid doesn't, though?
Exactly. Fuck off.
How I say stupid shit.
One other thing about this movie, Batman uses a myriad of vehicles. He uses the boat, the Batcopter, and of course the Batmobile. And he actually begins with the Batcopter, and he has his own helipad at the Gotham Air Base, which to me, that should probably be used for medical personnel, right? Why does he need his own fucking helipad?
I mean, why wouldn't you need your own? I mean, should the hospital have their own helipad? And that's
but like the helicopter, if it has to go somewhere to pick someone up at the Gotham, like if they're medevacing you to Gotham Air Base, you know, I don't think the helipad can land like in your neighborhood.
Like, how often is Batman really landing there? Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Once every couple of weeks.
He probably double parks behind another helicopter. And
so hold on. So the Batcopter is at a public airbase.
It's at the Gotham Air Base.
So, like, could I park my, like, rich personal private jet there, too?
Well, I feel like you should have a private air base if you want to do that.
Okay. I mean, so he's the only one that has a aircraft there.
I mean, look, Brian, there's not like a 30-minute scene where they go through the inventory of who actually has which spots at the Gotham Air Base.
Well, did he pay the licensing fees, the permits?
He probably did. Is this one of my stronger points? No, but it did irk me.
But for some reason, we're stuck on it. And we're going to stay on this for 20 minutes.
All right, now this scene is ridiculous. So he goes from, I don't know why he does this, but he goes from the helipad to the boat. And in the boat, in the helipad, he's lowered, this is before he's in the boat, I'm sorry. He's lowered down on one of those like little ladders, you know, that comes out of the helipad. And he's Robin is piloting the Batcopter, and he's trying to get Batman onto a small, I don't think it's quite a yacht. It's like a ferry that's been, they believe, hijacked by criminals. And while he's lowering Batman down, he accidentally lowers him into the water. And a shark, of course, God forbid a shark live in its natural habitat, bites onto Batman's leg. And Batman senselessly beats it and then sprays it with the bat shark repellent, to which the shark falls in the water and explodes.
What is in this repellent?
Why does he have a 17-year-old flying a helicopter?
That's the part you have the issue with.
It's difficult for him to fly that helicopter let him lower him down to the water.
Banner, you dove with sharks your whole life. I mean, Batman literally murders a shark in the first 10 minutes of this movie. How does that make you feel?
Look, I have only cried when one celebrity has passed away. Now, I've gotten a little emotional, but like legit tears coming out of my eyes, and that was when Steve Irwin died.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fuck you, Batman.
Another thing Batman says on, and this is just like classic playing to the camera. He says on a news report that his message to the people is support your police. But if you think about it, isn't the entire point of Batman to sort of circumvent and not trust the police?
Yeah, they're not doing a good enough job. That's why he's there.
Yeah, and this is a classic do as I say, not as I do situation.
Like the whole reason Batman exists is because he has zero confidence in the Gotham police. Another
he doesn't
minor
want to
one.
like. I think he's just being PC here because he doesn't want the police like completely.
Back to blue. I get it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't want them rebelling again. I mean, so in every Batman movie, let's say this, like, and my wife made a comment when we watched The Batman, like, there's always an APB out for him.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Yeah. Like, that's the thing.
It's
but
a perpetual APB.
Yeah, and sometimes the cops go after him, like at the end of Dark Knight, and sometimes they don't, like in The Batman. And there are scenes in The Batman that both happen. I think I understand that motivation for Bruce to be, or for Batman to say, keep the cops semi-happy. They don't like you, but they don't have to hunt you.
I will say in this movie, Batman 66, the cops are up Batman's asshole. Not just Gordon. All
like in a good way?
Yeah, they're like obsessed with him. He walks in and they just grovel at his feet.
Wow.
Another minor one, but I think this is like death by a thousand cuts. So Batman's boat docks at Gotham Harbor and he has the driver's seat. He always parks the driver's seat right next to the dock. So he gets to get out and Robin has to fucking climb over him. And he makes Robin get out first and tie the boat up. And that just doesn't sit right with me. I think.
It's kind of like child slavery, right?
Basically, right?
I mean, are they getting paid? I don't know.
There's no way he's paying him. He pulled him from spring break.
It's an internship cycle.
I don't know,
money
man.
Too.
You know he's probably putting it in a fund.
He's getting paid in experience.
I think we already established that Bruce Wayne / Batman is financially irresponsible. So I doubt he's putting it in a fund.
Yeah. Another thing, Brian especially, he kills another shark.
The fuck is wrong with you?
About 15 minutes later, they end up. So they realize the yacht that Robin tried to lower Batman on in the beginning of the movie. Spoilers for Batman 66. So I'm gonna.
Oh no!
Wow.
It was actually a hologram being projected by a buoy out in the middle of Gotham Harbor. So they go out onto the buoy to disable it, and Riddler actually has this genius plan. He magnets their utility belts to the buoy, and then they shoot a torpedo at it. And Batman uses bat sonar to lure a shark towards the buoy so that it jumps in front of the torpedo on accident and gets exploded and killed.
I am so offended right now.
It's disgusting.
I have a question.
What would Aquaman think, you know?
Okay, do bats and sharks have a natural rivalry? I don't know
they must.
On animals.
They must, because he's clearly out to get them. Like he kills 2 sharks in the first 20 minutes.
We're only 20 minutes into this?
Yeah, this is all Act 1, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. At least twice in the movie, Batman has Robin make a phone call for him. This is such a power move, where the second the person that they're calling picks up, then he makes Robin hand him the phone. And that didn't sit right with me. Like, you're just making Robin dial the number for you.
Look, he's making him, I've been that intern. Like, you want to feel involved.
Are they interns or are they teammates?
Did your internship take you away from spring break?
Actually, it did. As I got older.
Oh, wow.
Law school, definitely.
Actually.
Okay, well, continue on, Jeff.
On you.
All right, I'll skip ahead here a little bit in the story. So, again, the cool part about Batman 66 is his 4 main villains all team up to fight him. So it's Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin, and Joker.
Damn.
And all the actors playing them are like going full sell with their performance. Like they are going for it. And Catwoman, Selena Kyle, has a great idea to pretend to be a Russian reporter to try to lure Bruce Wayne into a trap with the villains, and she calls herself Miss Kitka, and she ends up on a date with Bruce Wayne in the movie. And I guess this isn't Batman specifically, but Bruce Wayne uses USSR tensions as a way to try to fuck Miss Kitka. He basically says, like, if you have sex with me, maybe it can show our two countries that there's a peace to be had. And
I'm going to try and use that now. Now that things are tense between the United States and Russia,
exactly.
I'm going to go find some Russian chicks.
This would be like a Russian guy trying to bang a Ukrainian woman right now using this tactic. It's exploitative. It's disgusting.
But at the same time, I know we're not trying to be devil's advocates. Like,
we definitely are.
I mean, do you fault the guy for just trying?
I know. And Kitka's hot with that
her.
Russian accent.
Right? I mean...
He keeps going, da, darling, da.
See?
Wait, now I hear a vampire.
That's how she sounds.
One.
I think I nailed it. If you go watch it, tell me I'm not 100% accurate with that. I'm kind of with you, Brian.
Yeah.
Shoot your shot.
All right, my last few. So the high horse that this motherfucker, being Batman, is on with regards to people who drink alcohol. So the villain's base is beneath like this pub right next to the water, which, by the way, is definitely a place that we would all hang out at. And they probably have great chicken fingers. But Batman, so there's a bomb in the villain's base that they lure Batman to. Then the villains have left. And Robin basically says, like, why take the bomb? Like, it's just going to blow up a bar. And Batman says, this is a direct quote, "They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings."
I say that all the time when I'm drunk.
So because you have a beer, you should just you should die?
Hey, cop, I may be drunk. I'm a human being.
I am...
Use that.
Wow. I am very offended. I think Batman just dropped like 4 or 5 spots on my superhero list.
Yeah.
You killed two sharks. You killed 2 sharks, and I'm not allowed to drink around you?
No. He's defending drinkers. He's defending drinkers.
He's kind of talking down to him.
He's calling. I identify as a drinker, and
no, he's not at all.
He's calling me a human being. That's beautiful.
Oh, you identify as a drinker. I thought you were trying to say Batman empathizes with
No,
them.
I identify as I drink my whiskey.
I have 2 more things. These are real quick. So at one point in the movie, in the Batcopter, Riddler shoots them down, and they crash into the middle of a foam rubber wholesale convention, luckily.
It's convenient.
It is convenient, but instead of being like, oh, damn, that was lucky, like, he can never admit anything happens through happenstance. Batman's direct quote is, quote, "I did think I saw that pile of rubber out of the corner of my eye." Like, dude, for just 1 second, can you admit, like, all right, we caught a break?
No. Batman has to know all.
I just thought it was a little like, come on, bro.
I'm already sold.
I wish Robin called him out on that. Like, no, you didn't.
Like, you weren't able to steer at all. Like, what are you talking about?
He like pulls out a calendar. It's like circled on the date. Like, see, I knew this.
The last time you admitted you were wrong. Last thing I have, this isn't an indictment against Batman, just another reason we should do a commentary on this. So, Brian, even if you haven't seen this movie, you probably know one of the things that it's like kind of famous for is during the fight scenes, anytime someone gets like hit really hard, like the big like bam, pow, things like pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
So the final fight is aboard a submerged submarine between Batman, Robin, all the villains.
We're in shark territory again.
Right.
Fuck.
You're getting Batman near the ocean, he just becomes a ruthless killer. But during that fight, I just thought this was funny and how times have changed over the last 60 years. But Riddler gets knocked into the water at one point, and the big letters that pop up on the screen, or the word that pops up on the screen, is splooge.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
No.
I guess that meant something else like in the 60s. Or maybe Riddler just like loves getting knocked in the water. I don't know. So obviously,
like, I hate the air. Oh my God, water!
Fuck! I'm just gonna say. It's like I'm just gonna stay in the water for like a little bit longer. But you guys
I think
keep
he saw a
fighting.
dead shark. Actually,
No, those
That's
are
really-
sea cucumbers. I swear.
In this depth. So, all right, that's all I had for Batman 66. And why Batman?
But the same themes are there. I think we boil it down to he has a very damaged psyche, and he can't admit when he's wrong. He has the ability to help in different ways, but chooses not to.
Mhm.
He ignores when people ask him or tell him there's other ways to help, and he's dismissive and isolationist.
I don't know the exact quote, but I think Chris O'Donnell's Robin actually kind of describes his shortcomings as a person pretty perfectly in Batman and Robin, where he's like, "You don't trust me," basically. Like it's your way or the highway. It's Batman and Robin, not Robin and Batman. Wow, it's coming back to me this week.
Yeah, that was almost spot on. I'm pretty
I
sure.
think I acted it better than he did.
I think you blacked out. Actually, McCain, Chris O'Donnell was.
Wow.
Where's
that
is
had,
Alicia Silverstone back there?
it's not, Bruce. It's me, Barbara. That's not the first nor last time that will happen. I can promise you. All right, Brian, your closing thoughts. Cycles was very well said. What are your closing thoughts on our offense of heroes, Batman?
Yeah, I mean, Batman's a piece of shit. He kills sharks. I mean, look, we live in a society where it is worse to kill an animal than it is a human being, unfortunately. People have more of an uproar when a gorilla dies than
you are that person right now.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that
thing.
right there should be 99% of the world's reason why Batman's a piece of shit.
Okay. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, in summary, I love him as a character because he's obviously, I think, like, because he doesn't have powers, there's just an inherent relatability to him. But when you look at him as a person, I think Cycly brings up the best point in general. It's like there is much more he could be doing to help probably more effectively, but deep down, he's worried that if he does it, he will be able to kick the shit out of less people.
Yep.
So
And we didn't even get into the damage to the city he causes. The taxes are high because of him.
He's kind of a slut too.
The taxes are.
I'm just, you don't want to live in Gotham.
You think he wants to sleep with all those chicks, Brian? A new model every night?
I mean,
come on, man.
Maybe Batman's superpower is he can't get an STD.
Oh, he's got STDs.
Nope. Oh, bats infect. They don't get infected.
That's a great point, actually.
Yeah. Same.
That's why he hangs upside down to really like embody the bat. All right. That is our first in offense of heroes. If there's another protagonist out there, and I'm sure there are lots, that you want us to go after, or the inverse and sort of the same segment, if there's a villain out there that you want us to defend, please comment below.
I'm just ready to go after Jack and Kate in Titanic because, we're all pro Cal here.
We basically did that on the commentary.
Was that our first one? Was our Cal from Titanic, the in defense of villains?
I mean, it had to be, right?
I mean, we could hammer Rose just as hard. that one would be ruthless. We still need to do the Shredder and the Foot Clan, obviously, and then the Coup de Grace. And this one's almost like too big, but like defend the Sith from the prequel.
Oh, that's
so easy.
That's so easy. Yeah, that's the one that like we have all, I think, since the beginning of the pod have always been steadfast on. Like, we are pro Sith here.
That one we'll just have to say no protein shake or do you even lift bra tonight. It's all Sith all the time.
It's a Star Wars special. Maybe we try and do that for May the 4th be with you.
Oh, that'd be cool. Definitely be down.
This is how we plan the podcast, guys.
On the podcast.
We're drinkers and human beings. That's how it should open every show.
They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings. He said that. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? But then I was like, never mind. I know exactly what that means. All right. The second part of our show is our protein shake, where we go around and talk about what is in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. Brian, we have not had you on in a while. Why don't you go first? We'll do a little round robin. So get out as many as you want, and then
All
I know
right.
Cycle and I have a lot of crossover, so we might just each.
All right. First one. This one. Free Guy. Meh. It's fine. There were parts of it that I laughed. Sure. There were also a lot of parts where I just fucking rolled my eyes. This Ryan Reynolds reminded me a lot of Van Wilder in this, which was really cool for about 5 minutes, and then I was like, all right, like, just chill out here for a second.
When the concept of Free Guy, like when I was really excited for this when like conceptually it was introduced to us, and I said to myself, if Brian doesn't like this movie, then it's just not going to hit with people. And I actually think I'm getting close to being like sick of Ryan Reynolds, but I say that,
yeah.
But I say that, and I'm his next Deadpool appearance away from being like, okay, that was cool again, you know.
It's nothing about Ryan Reynolds. It's that he's just the same character and everything. It's like, yeah, I love him in Deadpool, and it's like, but do we need that every single time?
And I actually think that this movie would have been really interesting as not like a basically like slapstick comedy. Like the concept of like an NPC becoming, because you know the gaming world, I'm peripherally involved in it. Like I'm not like I would not classify myself as a gamer, but gaming culture really interests me. And the concept of an NPC in an open world game, like sort of becoming self-aware, is I think really interesting.
I think that is a fantastic idea. I mean, that's a perfect like science fiction drama movie.
Right. But it becomes a vehicle for the next Ryan Reynolds one-liner. And dude, Lil Rel Howery, this guy was a absolute scene stealer in Get Out, and everything else he's been in, it has just been rough.
Really
to be
bad.
honest with you. Like
really bad.
He was in that Uncle Drew movie, and he was in Vacation Friends, and he like, my God, dude, I know you have talent, but like, can you do? Is Jordan Peele like your lifeline? Like, can you do anything outside of him that isn't like cringeworthy?
It's like he's trying too hard.
It's just,
I don't know.
I don't know. And I'm sure he's directed in this because you're an NPC. They're like, hey, play everything. You don't get social cues or like cadence of conversation. You got to be. That's a tough thing to play. But I was like, dude, every time his character showed up in a scene, I was like, God damn it, no.
Not again. Were you like pretty excited when he died at the end?
I don't want to say excited, but I was like, I think this works in a couple ways. Like, it gets him out of the movie, and it, you know, sort of helps Guy close off his character arc.
Yeah, I guess excited might have been a little.
Were you more interested in what was actually happening in Free World, or the stuff with like Taika Waititi and the gaming company?
Because
it's really like two movies. I know.
Yeah, it really was. I liked parts of both of them, and there were other parts that I was just could care less about. Like the little love story that they tried to throw in there with the Stranger Things guy and the chick. Like, that was just dumb. Now, Taika Waititi, him like busting up the fucking servers was his whole character was fucking hilarious to me. I thought he was fantastic.
Not his best performance, in my opinion, but yeah, I mean, he's always good for a few laughs. I'm kind of surprised he took this role.
Yeah, me too.
To be like, I just don't really see what about it, because he has his choice of anything these days, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of interested, like, I wonder what about this appealed to him. But Free Guy, I would describe as harmless. It's not that ambitious. They say they're making a sequel, and I'm just like, dude, if this gets a sequel, it's like, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Why?
I don't know.
And what's it gonna? It doesn't matter. It's dumb. Do I do another one? Keep going? No?
Yeah, do one more.
Do one more? Okay. We'll do one that probably won't get a ton of discussion. This is a show founded on HBO Max called Miracle Workers. I think it was originally on like TBS or something like that. It's got Steve Buscemi, Daniel Radcliffe, and who's that other dude? I don't know. I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, he's in Miracle Workers.
Oh, okay.
No, he plays the cab driver in Deadpool. in the first one. Anyway,
Oh, I remember who you're talking about.
I'll get it. I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
really, really easy watch. Basically, the concept is God created the Earth as like his little pet project hobby, and he's just a deadbeat and doesn't care. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna blow up the Earth. And he has angels, obviously, that work for him. And Daniel Radcliffe's character works in the answered prayers department, which is like somebody goes, God, please, where can I find my keys? And they can only make like nature happen. They can't just be like, oh, your keys are right there. They have to like blow a leaf to do this, to answer prayers. And they're challenged with, if you make these two people fall in love, I won't blow up the Earth. There's the show. It was really funny.
How was Daniel Radcliffe?
He was pretty solid.
He's good about to play Weird Al.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I'm excited for them. So I was curious how he's done.
Yeah,
Haven't seen him in a bit.
He was good. His character was a very timid character. So it was kind of neat to see him not playing a hero-ish person.
Karan Soni
Yes, that's
is the
it.
guy. Is he also in Silicon Valley? I think he is.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Were you-
So yeah, Miracle Workers. Easy watch. I think it was like 7 episodes.
And it's done.
So they're anthology seasons with the same actors. We watched like 2 episodes of the second season, and it's like this weird medieval shit. Daniel Radcliffe's the king. I don't know. It's completely fucking different, and it just wasn't funny. So
it's like obviously it's a comedy, but it's like an American Horror Story type where they like bring the same cast back, but they're all different characters.
yes, I believe that is accurate.
Okay. And it was a TBS show I saw.
TBS. Okay. I thought I remember it being on.
I didn't know they were part of Warner Media, but they have to be because I've seen like a couple other TBS things on there, and like Snowpiercer's on there, which is TNT, which is also Turner.
Yeah.
So, all right, Cycly, what's in your cup?
So yeah, I think you and I share a few.
A lot,
At
probably.
least. Yeah, I think a lot. The last week, you and I have just been texting like, "Hey, have you watched this? Hey, have you watched that?" So, I'll do a couple that I know you guys haven't watched. Well, Brian, I don't know. Have you guys been watching the new season of Love Is Blind?
No, I haven't been.
Okay, well, I'll just say this: we got the reunion episode. For those of you listening to me the last few weeks watching this show, that I've said is really it's the trashiest of trash. Nothing makes you feel more confident or better about yourself than watching this show.
That's the point of these shows, right? It's
yes.
You're like, well, I fucked up at work, but at least I'm not that guy.
Yeah, and again, the concept of the show, really quickly, if you haven't seen it, is people are dating and they're basically talking to someone without seeing them. They're talking to like 15 people. It's basically about an emotional connection, and they choose to get engaged. And then they finally get to see the person. They get married 3 weeks later. So we got the reunion episode.
So I'm sorry, as the only person here who hasn't seen it, is the only choice at the end you either get engaged or you break it off, or is there a different?
You just you don't get engaged, and that's okay. That's the majority of people do not get engaged, and the show doesn't continue for them. The show just continues following the people who get engaged, and the people who get engaged, they could break it off, or it leads into their wedding, and then the whole climax of the show is: do they say I do or I don't?
So if they choose not to get engaged, they're not able to it's not facilitated to keep talking through the show?
No, they're done. Yeah,
okay,
they're done. We never see
them
again. We might see them in there might be a party where everyone's invited, or they might be in the background of something, but yeah, you basically never hear from them. Again, I've been saying this the last couple of weeks. The character, the people, the personalities on this one are insane. It's like they found the most ridiculous people, and then watching the reunion, you think people are gonna have if you've watched yourself be awkward and just insensitive or rude, or let's say you've watched yourself just be this way for 3 weeks, and then after watching yourself, you come on a reunion show. You think you'd have a little bit of hey, yeah, I was a jerk or I fucked up. There's one person in particular, I'm not going to say if you're not spoiling, like, who is maybe I've never wanted to punch a person so hard in the face. Like, he is the douchiest of douches. And
Really?
like to the point that like no one is on his side. Like that's what's funny. Like you can have dicks or assholes on these shows, and there's someone who's like, no, I get what my girl's saying. Like, something like that. Like, no. Everyone was like, shut the fuck up, you're a piece of shit. And he kept digging holes. But yeah, if you watch it, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. It makes his ex-partner look like a fucking queen. She's amazing. So Love is Blind, loved it in every trashy sense of the word this season. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I would absolutely recommend it because it's a pretty crazy season. And then there's a show that was added on Netflix recently, and my wife and I got drunk last week, and I think we watched a movie and then we watched this. It's called Cat Burglar, and it's like 12 minutes.
Docuseries or
No, it's a 12-minute cartoon.
Okay.
And it's interactive. It's about a cat who's breaking in to a museum, and there's a guard dog, and it's animated like the old Looney Tunes.
How did you find this?
What?
It's on Netflix, dude. It is. I'm not joking. It's interactive, so you have to get the questions right to get the cat further and further into stealing the art.
That's
like
awesome.
If you don't get it right, he fails. And every time, like, so it's 12 minutes, but like every time you do it, it's different questions, it's different animation. The plot's the same. We did it twice or 3 times, but man, I'm not joking. We were cracking up. Like,
Really?
I will say, be a little inebriated maybe when you're watching it, but like, it made us really nostalgic and miss that type of animation. It felt like we were watching the type of Looney Tunes or cartoons we were watching when we were young. It's filmed in that ridiculous sense.
What was
like
it
the
called?
dog will
Kitty Robber?
Cat Burglar.
Cat
Burglar.
Burglar.
Yeah, interactive
close.
on Netflix, 12 minutes. And like again, if you get the questions wrong, it's even shorter.
Is it only like
So-
one episode, or is it like a couple different?
No, it's just one episode, and you can do it a couple times. It's just a game. It's like I said, we did it twice or 3 times, and they actually they have like 6 different trophies. So I think there's like 6 or 7 different ways it can go. But it really what I wanted to bring it up because like the more commentary, I'm like just missing that kind of animation and the way they used to make these shows for kids. Like I didn't really think about how much I missed it until we were watching it. Both my wife and I were like, oh my god, like this is really hitting. Like it's hilarious. Like the dog's getting blown up, and just you remember how the Looney Tunes would do it, right? Like
Oh yeah.
they would get cut up into 12 pieces, and then he would like come back and put himself together.
It's like Coyote and the Roadrunner.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would recommend it. It's completely stupid, but 12 minutes of just kind of getting a little nostalgia, and be really quick on your remote if you're playing the game. Like the questions come up, and you have to be like, I missed a couple because I just wasn't. I got the pressure get to me.
How difficult are the questions? Like,
They're not hard.
Is it okay? So it's not really.
They're
like
not
a
hard.
challenge,
There's a couple that are like, huh? It's more like you have to get 3 in like 10 seconds, and it's more the time that gets you. And there was one I was like, oh, I know the answer, and I hit the wrong button because it was like I was like trying to do it too fast. They're not like all really simple, but it's again, it's just for fun, and especially
that's
if
something I would never know about if you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It like
sounds
I said, if
awesome.
you had a night out, if you watch something serious, like you're not ready for bed, but it's getting there, throw it on really quickly. It's really fun. So Cat Burglar on Netflix.
Sweet. All right, I'll knock one. I'm not really going to talk about this. I'm just going to plug our review. Cycling and I saw The Batman in theaters. We did a spoilers review with Matt Geiger. The time you're listening to this, it's been out for probably like a month and a half. So it almost might be closer to HBO Max than it is to its theatrical debut. But definitely check out our review. Cycling and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Geiger, I think, enjoyed it on the whole, but he's the huge Batman fan, so he had a few issues. But
I'll say this, like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, what would you tease for the review, Cycling?
I would say the review is funny because you and I both are pretty strong to the fact that it's like our second favorite Batman, and Geiger, like he said, is like his 5th. But when you listen to the pod, if you go listen to our review, it's funny. I think you and I are like, we kind of like open our criticisms to it.
Yeah.
But we're like, no, we loved it. Whereas Geiger, I almost
Geiger's
felt
a
like
Burton head though, so he kind of holds those in higher regard than we do. Those films.
I get that, but like he also complimented the movie like a
Yeah.
ton more. You know, he's repeatedly said it's the best Gotham and things like that. So it was funny. I went back and listened to it, and it is. I think again, my one point about seeing the movie, I still don't think any of us know really where it falls in the hierarchy, and I am looking forward to this coming out on HBO so I can see it again and give it a little more thought.
It is, regardless of your thoughts, there's definitely some things in it that are. It's just really well made movie, man. It's like you can't really critique like the actual filmmaking of it, or especially visually the way it looks. And then obviously I watched Batman 1966, which I already talked about, but had to mention it here because no one is watching it these days. So if anyone who worked on it, is Burt Ward still alive? I know Adam West passed away. He's at home like, all right, holy royalties, Batman. I think everyone, I have 4 other things, but I think all you guys watched at least. Actually, I'll name one more thing. I don't think any watches this week. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
God, I love that fucking movie.
Yeah, so I realized like I hadn't watched the Indiana Jones movies in a while, and they're all on Paramount Plus. So started with Raiders of the Lost Ark, of course, and my God, dude, what a fucking fun trip down memory lane. I mean, I'll get into it more because spoilers. It's somewhere on my top 100 list, but just the nostalgia and like being a kid, hearing that score, seeing Indiana Jones. They don't make adventure movies like that anymore.
It's another John Williams.
Oh yeah, it's a banger for sure. It's just a classic piece of cinema, and I think it's a huge testament to film when you go back and watch a movie like that, where like visually it obviously is so bad now and outdated, but everything else in it is so strong and incredible that it actually, in a weird way, like makes the visuals more endearing, because it's like, dude, this thing has everything else clicking for it that this shit doesn't even matter. You know, it's just incredible.
I think part of it being timed in the World War II Nazi era helps the fact that the image quality is outdated and everything. That just the fact that, hey, it's dated for it's taking place in this time, so now we kind of de-aged the cinema, and all the practical effects are just incredible.
Well, dude, I was watching it and it was taking me back to being a kid. Like I wanted to fucking go in, and I have a story that I want to tell when it comes up on my top 100 about this, but I wanted to like go in my backyard and start fucking exploring. Then I looked in my backyard and it's just grass. So I was like, okay, I can see all of it. Never mind.
Well, dig a little.
Fuck. All right, I'll be right back. I come home, my wife's like, what the fuck happened? Like, I watched Indiana Jones. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, there wasn't a Holy Grail on top of the grass, so I figured I had to dig a little.
Where else would it be?
Yeah.
Underneath it. Nice try, Nazis. All right, Banner, what else you got?
All right. We'll do The Eternals. It really sucked. I didn't like it.
I've only seen it once in theaters, but like it's I think I liked it more right after I saw it than I have like going back and thinking about it. It hasn't sat well on my palate, if that makes sense.
It was kind of slow. Everyone was kind of fucking whiny. I mean, there wasn't really a bad guy. I mean, there was, but there wasn't. Everybody was just kind of, I don't know. I think this is, I'll say it, this is the worst MCU movie. It took me 4 sittings to get through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if there's ever an MCU movie that I was like, I wish that they could have just made like a one-off and not put it in the cinematic universe, it's this one. I just didn't. I guess all I'll say is I think it's made fine, like it looks good, and
yeah, the visuals were great.
None of the characters I really connected with or cared about.
I agree.
Which is typically Marvel's strength.
Yeah.
I was
very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Yeah.
Not that I had high expectations, but any MCU movie there you have high expectations.
Spoiler alert, skip ahead 30 seconds if you haven't seen Eternals, but Brian, did you catch whose voice that was at the end when Black Knight opens the box to look at his sword?
No, I didn't.
That was Mahershala Ali's blade.
Fuck yeah! So finally, it's happening.
Yes, I know. It was when we were in theaters. Joel was like, "Is that Doctor?" Fuck, I got to edit that out. Joel, my friend, said, "Is that Doctor Strange?"
No,
Shakira Hayek. Yeah, she goes, "Is that Doctor Strange?" And I was like, "No, that's Blade." And then I went back and looked it up online, and I was like, "Fuck, it is Blade."
That's
Holy
awesome.
Shit, yeah. So.
I got two things. They'll both be relatively quick. I'll just knock them both out. Watched Cheers season 2. Like, okay, so what? Moving on.
Cheers.
What's this on?
Netflix, like Cheer. It's called Cheer.
Oh,
and
I think
it's like
Cheers.
No,
I thought you said Cheers.
No.
Yeah, I was like,
Cheer.
Everybody knows your name. I'm like, damn, you're watching.
Way
that.
less interested.
Yeah. Like, okay, so what? I watched it. Let's move on. I also watched.
Well, hang on, Brian. I got to say one thing because my wife, Shakira Hayek, loved season 1 of this show, and coming into season 2, there was a big controversy. You know what happened with one of the cheerleaders, right?
Yes.
He was arrested for possession of child pornography.
Mm-hmm. Diddling kids.
And I believe so. They claimed, and I knew this was going to be lip service, but they claimed when it happened, like, "Oh, this will be a part of the show. We're not going to shy away from this." And apparently that's basically bullshit. They like mention it once offhand, right? And then
I mean, there is an episode dedicated to it, but it's not as much what he did. They interviewed the kids that he.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And
how did he have access to them? Was it through the cheer program?
Yes.
Jesus
and
Christ.
he like texted them and said, "Meet me in this bathroom." Like shit got weird. Yeah. It was tough to watch. I won't lie.
Okay, because I'll say this
they did not. I wouldn't say they shied away from it. Whoever said that, I disagree.
Okay, I felt like it from what I heard, and I have not seen it, so this may be it. I'm glad you're setting the record straight here. I heard that it was more like referenced peripherally when essentially it should have been like, and again, you don't have to focus the whole show on this because it is about cheering, but like the dude's a piece of shit and we don't need to be like trying to skirt around this issue, you know?
Yeah, it was also interesting to see his teammates, how upset they were and how blinded they felt that they didn't catch this. And same with the coach. And same with the coach. She was like, I loved him like a son and gave examples, and it was tough to watch, but they did not stick on it. They mentioned it really, really briefly, and I think the first episode basically like, this is what you're going to see this season. One episode was dedicated to it, and it was never mentioned again.
Can I ask, like, did you ever have, like, did this guy seem normal, or like, did you have like, you know, like, this guy seems off?
I mean,
he seemed okay. These are completely separate statements, so I'm not saying them at all like they're correlated. He is, as many male cheerleaders are. He's a homosexual, which is totally fine. But he seems to have, at least the first time, he has like anger issues, right? In season 1. So, like, I'm just saying, that could be something where like he can't control his impulses.
Yeah, I don't think he was 100% mentally stable all the time. I think he had some untreated mental health things. Which
in season 1, he'll go from like blowing up on someone to then like the next time he's almost like bipolar.
Yeah,
I would say.
So moving on from that.
Watch any comedies.
Yeah. I watched the first season of Invincible. Oh my God. I absolutely loved this. This is, I think, a top 5 show for me. I need to run through it again just to make sure. This has everything I love about shows.
Ever?
Probably, man.
Wow. I think it was Nate and I, and it was a few episodes back, we did our top shows of last year. This was both of our number ones. I think.
Yeah.
It was in the top 3 at least.
If I had watched it last year, it would definitely have been in my top 3. Got really good, really big DC animated vibes.
Yeah.
But they took it to that next level as far as like the gore and stuff goes. Uh, love that it was a cartoon. What, 30-minute episodes, maybe 40 every once in a while?
I
Pretty
will say
short.
this, and this is what Amazon does. The episode length was really varied. Like
Yeah,
some would be 30, and then there was a couple that were like almost an hour.
yeah. And I'm
Which
fine
is
with
good.
that. I like that they told the little sub story in each episode, no matter how long that took them to do. They didn't cram things into one episode. The voice acting was incredible,
Great cast.
just absolutely insane. And I had no idea who the real bad guy was going to be for, I would say, most of the season. I had my suspicions pretty early on, but there were twists and turns all over the fucking place here.
Yeah, it really does kind of play out like a. And I understand it's based on a graphic novel or a series of comic books, but they introduce so many plot threads that you just. I think part of it is you're like, which one of these are they actually going to focus on when they actually have to close out the show?
And I thought they blended for the most part a lot of the storylines, or put a nice little bow on them and tied them all
Mhm.
up. Obviously, there's a few huge ones, lingering out there, but
It was a good fine line between like you have plenty of fertile ground that you can go after in a season 2, but
yeah,
you also, I think, like season 1 was interesting enough and also felt like a complete story to where no one's like, dude, fuck you, like that's not an ending, you know?
yeah. It wasn't a happily ever after, but it wasn't a cliffhanger either.
Yeah, true,
I,
true.
I can't say any bad things about it. I don't think the animation was great. I don't know. That's all I got.
I'll definitely season 2 should come out this year. I haven't heard anything.
Pretty soon. I believe it got greenlit for a third season as well, if I'm not mistaken.
It's always a good sign when they just add like multiple seasons onto your.
Yeah, it gives the writers a little bit more freedom in that second season.
For sure. A little more
A
ground
little
to
more
play with.
little more wiggle room, if you will.
I will. All right, what else you got?
That's all I got, guys. I've got some stuff in the works that I'm watching, but I'm not prepared to talk about yet.
Ooh,
So,
tease.
yeah.
All right, Cycly, what else is in your cup? You can just finish it out because I think we'll
Well,
share.
yeah, you and I share. We can talk about How I Met Your Father if you want, or we can save that. But we both have Kimmy, and we both have Fresh.
Yep.
There might be another one I'm missing.
I talked about Kimmy, I think 2 episodes ago, but I really want to
Okay.
get your take on it. This is a good precursor to seeing Zoe Kravitz in the Batman, I think.
Yeah, I think Kimmy was, and you referenced it when we talked about it, was like a really cool. It's funny, been post-COVID era, or if we want to even call it post-COVID, like
Post
usually
wanting to deal with COVID era.
well, yeah, like exactly. That's the best way to say it. TV shows and movies they've dealt with COVID, but like they've abstained from showing it, right? Like this was the first show that or movie I feel like I've seen, and I could be wrong or could forget, that like dealt with like people wearing masks and working at home and things like that, like the isolationist of like not being around people. She had a psychological disorders and mental disorders that were exacerbated by COVID. So that was interesting. um I'm the run time was good, right? Like that was like what, an hour and 25 minutes, I
Yeah,
think.
if even that, yeah.
Yeah, I won't go more on. I know you've already talked about it, so I would recommend it. It's an easy watch. It's quick. It's entailing enough. There's enough there to like carry the plot for at least that long. I think there was a concept there that could have been. They could have gone a little deeper into. They could have, dived into the characters. My only complaint was I thought the ending, without spoiling it, was a little too clean, especially with how the movie was and the concepts that they're facing. And so, they did do it, not to say what happens, but it's just like, clean ending. And I felt like there was a lot of ambiguity and there's a lot of other things that could have potentially led to a better movie. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. And the concept, if people don't know, of Kimmy is Kimmy is essentially like basically an Alexa or like a Siri device that people. It's like a smart home device that people have. And Zoe Kravitz's character, I can't remember her name now because I'm a few weeks removed from the movie, but she's essentially like a QA programmer for it, where like if you if you ask Alexa a question and she like doesn't understand it properly, there are assumedly like programmers who go in and like manually code that request so that next time if someone asks it, like the machine understands it. And she does this for Kimmy. And with one of her recording logs, she believes that she witnesses a woman being murdered. And it kind of takes off from there, like how she follows up with it with the company. Did this actually happen? Things like that. And
Sounds
also,
exciting.
It actually, yeah, that's how he sold it to me, and it's perfect sell.
the only thing I'll add to what Cycly said though is it is exciting, but like, and Cycly, maybe I'm misremembering something. There's really not much that they leave to mystery about the story, right? Like you kind of have all the facts.
No,
right?
that's what I mean by clean ending. I'm not saying like I'm giving anything away. It's just wrapped up in a nice little bow, and I'm like, theoretically, you're talking about an Amazon type company. Like this should be messy, and that's okay. Like I'm not, like I think there's things here that could have opened a lot of questions and doors.
Yeah.
And the ending, and you and I had this discussion off pod. It was Steven Soderbergh, right?
Yeah. He did all the Oceans movies.
And that he's a talented director. Obviously, he's done a
Insane.
lot of stuff. I very much felt like this movie was a movie that was intended for the theaters. And eventually he found out midway through filming that this was going to be direct release on what, Hulu?
HBO Max, which makes sense because they're the ones that said everything was going to be day and date last year.
Yes, it was HBO. And I have to imagine some of these Hollywood directors, and we know M. Night was one of them. We know a lot of them are like, no, my movie has to be in the theater.
Nolan was the loudest.
Nolan, yep. I have to wonder, because I felt like the film ended abruptly and again cleanly, that there was a turn in some point mentally in making this movie where he was like, well, if it's going straight to streaming, I don't want to it's not going to be big. It's not going to wow people. And I think, I don't know, it's a complete conspiracy theory I have, is that that's where his line of thinking went.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was, like Brian said, he's like, wow, that sounds really fucking intriguing. And it is. But it just seems like Soderbergh kind of fell out of love with the idea of this movie. Not that it's made with like any, it doesn't feel like it's like half-assed, but like there's
like he was got distracted halfway through.
Kind of. There's like so many interesting ideas, and he just seems like I kind of just want to make like a nice movie. You know, I don't really want to actually deal with any of the questions that I'm raising. And you're like, it would be like if Lost ended after season 1. You'd be like, but you have like all these cool, yeah, like, but you have all these cool ideas, and JJ would be like, you know what, I'm good though.
The concept of the movie, I think that's what holds it back. The concept of the movie is brilliant, and I think could have been a much better film. But it was still fun. I again, 25 minute, 20, like, go watch it.
Yeah.
And Zoe is fucking attractive, so.
Yeah, she's the best. All right, anything else, Ronnie?
Fresh?
Oh yeah, Fresh. Let's talk Fresh. Banner, have you heard of Fresh, the Hulu new release with Sebastian Stan?
No.
You would hate it. Never go anywhere near this movie.
Okay.
I think you'd love
it. You know, that's like telling me don't press the button.
No,
I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah, but this is one you'll tap out of quick. All right, if you haven't seen Fresh, skip ahead like a minute and a half. Hit that 30-second forward like 3 times. So, Cycly, tell people the plot of Fresh on Hulu.
Without spoilers, because it is relatively new. It's a again thriller / horror. Modern take on dating, right? Like, how are single people meeting right now?
Thank God we're married, dude. Oh my God. Can you imagine being out there?
I couldn't. And
I work with a guy that's dating right now, and it just sounds so exhausting.
Ugh.
I mean, and that's why what I like about it is the concept of this girl's dating guys, obviously, like through Tinder or Hinge or whatever, dating app it is. And she's a young 20-something looking for a relationship. She's had a hard life. She doesn't really have a family. And she has a good best friend. And the concept is, she meets this guy, and kind of hit it off, and you think he's too good to be true, and the friend has some misgivings about him, but she's kind of smitten by him. And how much do we want to give away? Like, like.
I mean, I told people to skip ahead, so if they don't skip ahead
that's true.
again, if you're still
Yeah,
listening, I'm gonna
like
spoil
if you're,
fresh. For you.
yeah, but she's basically like kidnapped essentially, and finds out that he's not there to rape her or literally, immediately kill her, but
Doesn't
his
want to
intent,
touch her, to be honest.
yeah, his intent is to cut off her meat and sell it to the 1% of the 1% who
What the fuck?
enjoy eating humans because they get off on it because it makes them feel superior.
And so if you want to see my wife Shakira Hayek even said, like, Sebastian Stan is great in this role because he's the guy that would approach a girl at a grocery store and any girl would give him her number. He's so affable. He's has this like innate ability. He's like really, really good looking, but he's also like, he kind of looks like the everyman at the same time,
Well, there's a rule on Reddit and on the internet. It's step 1 or rule 1, be attractive. Step 2, don't be unattractive. And if you fit those 2 rules, you can hit on girls at the grocery store and get their numbers.
Right, correct.
And I like it that she's so desperate. She's never, like, her generation, our generation is like only meeting people on the internet. And now the first connection she meets with a person in person, like it makes sense that she like almost is smitten by him because that doesn't happen anymore.
Right. To meet someone who, like, you say, oh my gosh, this person isn't a crazy lunatic. It's like, that's such a plus now. And this is kind of a different point, but Cycle, I have to say, the last shot of the movie, the text message she gets on her cell phone, I think is incredible.
From Chad, literally a Chad.
His name is Chad, yeah. That was great. So would you when you asked me, because I told you, like, I want you to watch this just because you're someone I really want to talk to about this film, but you asked me, would you recommend it or did you like it, I think, and I said I don't think so, but it's really interesting. Did you like it?
I think I did like it. So I've seen some fucked up horror films. I've seen Antichrist, Serbian film, Human Centipede.
I couldn't do Serbian film.
No one should ever do Serbian film. And to me, actually, one of the most fucked up that no one talks about is a movie called Tusk.
Justin Long.
Yeah,
the Kevin Smith movie.
Yes, that movie fucked me up more than any movie. So this movie is interesting because I've always, I love horror, and I'll tell you, like, and if you're listening now and you skipped ahead, we're not going to go spoilers, but like the uncomfortableness that I felt in those movies, or the disgust. I don't know what it was about some of those scenes, but like, man, I felt I texted your wife and I said, because your wife hates gore. And I said,
and she notoriously hates you for downplaying goriness in a movie.
And I texted her, I was like, give me gore all day over what we're getting. Like, I just, it made me my stomach churn a little bit. I didn't want to. I had no appetite for a while.
Yeah. I said in my Letterboxd review, like, I know it's intentional, so I'm not gonna like knock the filmmakers for it, but it's just, that's not a movie that I can like enjoy really, And I don't think it's a deficiency on my part. It's just my preference.
No, I think, and that's fair. And I think I would say, outside of those moments, and I went into the movie knowing you felt that way, and my guard was lowered. I didn't have as high of expectations. I think outside of those scenes, which again, like you said, is the intent, I actually did enjoy the movie. I enjoyed the twist on some of the common horror tropes that we usually see that weren't followed, and they were hinted at and then backtracked on.
Mm-hmm.
What I liked about this, they were smart. These were smart characters outside of her taking a ride with this boyfriend, but he did a long con on her. But they were smart. The best friend was smart. She did like everything she was supposed to, and that we yell at movies like this to do. So I think at the end of the day, for me, I personally enjoyed it, even though it was very uncomfortable for moments. But like you said, that's the intent.
But if the director hears you say, I'm uncomfortable, he's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha, bitch.
It's so funny how I can deal with like a head getting smashed over and over and over, like in Midsommar. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And then this movie, I'm like, oh, she's eating a meatball? What the fuck, God?
Yeah, so, Banner, I don't think you will watch it. And your wife will probably handle it better than you would. But definitely don't be eating while you watch it.
Yeah, I have zero desire to check this out.
I never felt like scared though, because it is the
No.
Winter Soldier. At the end of the day, he's there to protect us.
We're seeing him in like you know what? I never thought of this guy, and then all of a sudden, Winter Soldier we always knew, but like now we're getting Pam and Tommy, and like where is he coming from all of a sudden? Like it's not like Winter Soldier is new.
Right. He also says he's not in Doctor Strange 2, and I don't believe him for a fucking second. So.
Yeah, he's a fucking liar.
Yeah, Fresh. I probably wouldn't. It's definitely, the 4-quadrant movies. Like everybody should go see it. This is like a half 1-quadrant movie. But it was on my list of like dude. I will say this: the one awesome thing about 2022 when it comes to movies is so many of these releases are just on streaming. So when they come out, it's just like, dude, fucking plop down on the couch and just throw it on. And if you don't like it, who fucking cares,
And I said this is a big year for horror, and so far, I think it's hitting.
I plan on watching every horror movie this year, and I don't know, man. Fresh is like, I don't like it, but it had a visceral effect on me. I could see this one, like, we should do a horror list at the end of the year, because this one might creep its way higher than I
agree.
care to admit.
And it was better the more I thought about it too. Because when you think about it and you read about it, like you're not focused on those uncomfortable scenes.
God damn it! I'm getting uncomfortable again. I wanted to eat the leftovers of my dinner after this. I don't think that's happening now.
Yeah, if you want to go on a diet, watch this movie.
For real, yeah.
We'll get Parker. We'll get Parker to be on it.
Who's Parker?
Oh my God! Never mind.
Rosa Parker.
Yeah.
Civil rights activist. Have we watched anything else together? I look at my list. I don't know if you've seen this one show. I recommended it to you, but it was yesterday.
Which one?
Our Flag Means Death.
No, I haven't watched it yet, but I am going to this weekend.
Okay. Banner, have you heard of Our Flag Means Death?
I'm not.
This is the Taika Waititi HBO Max show about incompetent pirates.
Oh, I saw the trailer for this.
So this is cool. So Taika Waititi stars in it, although he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't star. He's probably the second build. He doesn't show up till the 3rd episode, but he's a big character, and he also directed several episodes and wrote the scripts, I believe, or co-wrote them. This is an interesting release strategy. So it's 10 episodes total, and each week they're releasing either 2 or 3 new episodes.
Huh.
And they're 30 minutes each. They're really quick watches. There's 6 episodes out right now. I've seen 5 of them. And this show is fucking hilarious. Like Thor Ragnarok levels funny. It's Taika Waititi's sensibility. It's basically like incompetent pirates, and one of them, I believe this is based on a true pirate, although I don't know his name, is a gentleman pirate, where like he's a pirate, but he doesn't want to do like mean things to other pirates. He's like, that's not nice. What will our reputation be, lads? And a couple recognizable faces. Obviously, Taika Waititi is in it. Joel Fry, who plays Jasper in Cruella, and he was also the kind of bumbling friend in Yesterday. If you've seen that, is in it. He's hilarious. Guest stars we've had so far: Leslie Jones, Fred Armisen, Nick Kroll. I'm trying to think who else showed up. I think there's 1 or 2 more like good comedians in it, but it's Taika Waititi's writing and his dialogue, and the concept is fucking hilarious. And the budget is like nothing. Like they're basically on a pirate ship set with a green screen behind them, just having like ridiculous conversations.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And the title, Our Flag Means Death. Let me just tell you this. So the pilot episode, the pirates decide every pirate ship has like their own scary flag. So they have an arts and crafts contest where each of the pirates on board get to try to design their version of what the pirate ship's flag should be.
That's hilarious.
And so it's all these pirates like sewing pirate flags, and they're like
just like glue sticks and construction paper.
100%. There's a scene where a pirate's like, "Can I borrow the glitter?" And they're like defending their idea for their image on the flag.
I'm going to check that out as soon as we get off of here.
Yeah. The best part is short watches. I think episodes average 24 to 27 minutes.
That's big. That's big for me.
Yeah, so you get in, you get out. Our flag means death. I have one more thing. I don't know if any of you guys watched this. Winning Time: The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty on HBO Max.
Haven't gotten around to it yet. Was it good?
Yeah, I don't have much to say because just one episode came out, but I'm definitely
dynasty?
intrigued. Exactly. The Showtime Dynasty. What a nice franchise where you have to clarify.
Right, which one?
Fuck off.
I'm not a Lakers fan. No.
The thing I like and the thing I hate. The thing I like, they are not holding anything back. Like the opening scene in the series is Magic at the hospital getting diagnosed with AIDS.
Wow.
And then they do the Tarantino flashback, like how did we get here? And it's him like graduating at, or not graduating him at 1 year, but ending his freshman year at Michigan State. The thing I don't like, Adam McKay directed the pilot episode, and my God, do we get a lot of those, the Big Short breaking the fourth wall. Like half the episode is them talking through the camera. It's just like, dude, please stop. It's very Adam McKay. It's like, we get it, bro. You directed it. Like, come on. But I'm definitely gonna watch the whole show. The subject matter I'm in for, and just the reason I'm intrigued, and I think Geiger liked this too, is it does not look like this is not made with Magic Johnson's approval. Like they make him look like a fucking asshat in the pilot episode. So give me the real take what actually happened.
See, that's what, like, I mean, I know they're not the same, but like The Last Dance left me wanting. Like, I'm like,
Correct.
dude, because I know this is all propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me the fucking raw shit.
Yeah, because the not the opening scene, but like one of the first 2 or 3 scenes, Magic's like girlfriend in college, she essentially like dumps him on his front porch before he gets drafted because she's like, no, like I know how this story plays out. You're gonna get drafted by the Lakers, you're gonna go to LA, and you're gonna become this fucking asshole man whore, and I'm not gonna be a part of it. And Magic like freaks out on her. He's like, really? You dumping me? She's like, yeah, like I'm just gonna go live a normal life. He's like, I'm gonna have millions of dollars. She's like, and you're gonna be miserable and sad. So, good luck.
Shit. I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. Although this is not a quick watch. I think it's like an hour 2 minutes is the pilot episode.
Eek.
But it's week to week, so it's a little more palatable.
What? I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brian, we have missed that. When you're not here, transitioning to the last segment of the show is a fucking chore. So, I actually thought, you know, it might be more efficient to buy an actual bird and train it to say the outro.
Can you name the bird Iago though?
No, that's where I draw the line. I'm sorry.
It's disgusting.
You're asking way too much. I think you'd be better at negotiation. That noise brings us to the last part of our show, or do you even lift bruh segment?
Bruh.
That was like a depressed bird.
That was your probably worst.
It was like the bird giving a eulogy at its best friend's funeral. Our question and answer segment, and the question we've been asking and probably will continue to ask for the rest of the year: what are each of the bros' top 100 movies of all time? So in the description of this podcast, you will find a link to all 5 of the bros counting down our top 100 movie list of all time. We continue that today. Before we dive into it, Cycly, each week when we do this, we have to preface it for either new listeners or people that forgot. How would you describe these top 100 lists? Because as we frequently say, this is not your mother's or even your grandmother's top 100 movie list of all time.
Sorry, that's incorrect. It is your grandmother's list.
Mine is probably identical to a lot of grandmothers. Everything on here are silent films or Cold War era propaganda films. But
yeah, I would love to watch those.
How would you describe these lists to people?
It is intimate. This is an intimate list to you and only you. There is this. That's what's great about this. Like, you don't have to justify this. We ask you to justify it by just for your own feelings. But, you know, this is movies that meant something to you as a kid, to your family, to, you know, maybe you watched at an emotional time or at a, you know, certain time in your life where it meant, you know, it had an impact on you and you could admit that. This list is purely individualistic in nature, and, you know, it's really rare for even us to have overlaps, even though we all have similar tastes. And so it's really fun activity. I've said this every time. you should do this too. You should get your friends to do it. My family's doing it and has done it, and it makes for a really fun discussion.
Yeah, it's not the top 100 best movies ever made. It's our top 100 movies. It's an important distinction.
Very important distinction.
All right,
Well,
Brian.
yeah, Banner, no one has to defend that more than you because your list is like.
But honestly, I would be mad if Brian's list was not inherently different, you know?
That is true.
That's what the pod has him for. All right, Brian, where we last left off, let's have you do actually 3 in a row, if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
You left off with your number 77 movie of all time, one of my favorites. It will come up at some point in my list, The Breakup. So what is your number 76, 75, and 74?
So 76. I believe this one may end up on your listing as well later on, Jeff, is V for Vendetta. I know it wasn't like super popular when it actually first came out. It's kind of grown a cult following. I fucking love it. I think this is the acting in this is incredible. Hugo Weaving, I have to give credit where credit is due. Natalie Portman as well. It's just, I don't know. It's a great movie. You're shaking your head, Cycly.
Oh no, I'm shaking my head in my agreement because I'm laughing about this is we're not going to get to it today, but you and I are not far off on this movie in our lists.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. And I always think it's funny when we get like even remotely close. And Horns and I actually shared one, and I'm laughing about this. We're only a few apart. I remember when this movie came out, I was excited about it just because it's like, you know, it is a political / crime thriller that's grown so much more into it. He's become, you know, The Mask itself has become now like a staple.
It's iconic.
It's iconic. Anonymous obviously uses it. Like recently, we're in the cyber attacks on Russia. Like we're seeing these the Guy Fawkes masks. But the movie to me is it's a very. I'm not trying to make it bigger than it is. It's a great post 9/11 government overreach type movie, like of what a society can look like if it breaks down too much. And
yeah.
And I just think it is really well done. Like it's beautifully filmed. Like you said, Hugo Weaving. I mean, like I love him. He's always an iconic actor. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I have more to say. I was shaking my head because I was laughing because like, yeah, this is where you and I are not far apart on this.
Anytime if someone asks me like like, hey, do you want to go eat at this restaurant? And I'm like not interested, I quote V and I go, no, not tonight. Can we just say probably the second best Wachowski's movie?
Yes, I by far.
I know there's some Speed Racer cultists out there, but I think this is their second best.
I mean, yeah, I agree. And I will admit, spoilers, it is on my one top 100. It works out that way. But there are days I like this more than Matrix, but.
And at the time, Natalie Portman with a shaved head had me very sexually confused.
Yeah, she always has me confused.
Exactly. What's your deal?
She's breaking my heart.
Oh, because she's saying the emotion that she has. That's good, right? You know she's sad because she literally fucking says it. Yeah, no, we got it, George. That wasn't the confusion. All right, Banner, number 76, V for Vendetta. What's number 75?
75, National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation. This is just, I don't know. I fucking love this movie. I grew up watching this movie. We had it on DVD. I probably watched it 100 times over one summer. I just think the only time that I had when this came out or when I watched it was I'd only been to Vegas when I was 4 years old. And so it was kind of cool seeing all these places that I had been when I was 4, and I have pictures of when I was 4, but I don't necessarily remember them. I think Rusty is fucking hilarious. Chevy Chase, classic vacation movie. This is the last good vacation movie.
I don't want to, if this is a spoiler for your list, you don't have to answer this, but is this your favorite of the vacation movies?
Give me a second. I can't
I
quite
have this out of 1,200 movies in my list. I have this at 391. It's just ahead of The Devil Wears Prada.
Close.
I love
close
Vegas
movies.
Vacation. We've done a Broback review on it, actually. I think the first year of the podcast. And
It is not. There are actually several higher than it.
holy shit. Okay. That's the strength to
The rest of
franchise.
his list are actually all vacation movies.
But I think what works well about this is, number one, this might be a hot take, but I think Cousin Eddie is better utilized in this movie than he is in Christmas Vacation.
I agree 100%.
In Christmas Vacation, like, he's funny, but he makes me, maybe just because now that I'm an adult, like it's kind of like your worst nightmare at the holidays, but there's like an eerie, you're like, fuck, this could actually happen. And it would scare the shit out of me during Christmas. And in this, he's not infringing upon Clark. He's actually like a helping hand. He's just Cousin Eddie, you know? Which is
It's like anytime you're in a pickle, you call Cousin Eddie, and you don't know what you're gonna get, but he's gonna help.
And another great scene, I think this kind of encapsulates like why Clark Griswold and Vegas are a match made in hell, is when he's already lost like a couple $1,000, and they're having like the breakfast buffet, and he says he has to go take a piss, and he's walking to the bathroom, and of course there's a roulette table on the way to the restroom. And so Banner just stops and whatever, plays a fucking round of roulette. It's just like another $100 just while he's trying to take a piss during breakfast.
The Rusty's Papa Giorgio, his fake ID. You know,
Put $1 in, I
put
want
$1 in, I want a car.
We should make that the opening quote to one of our episodes.
Yeah. So what was that, 75?
75. What's number 74?
74. We've done a movie commentary on this one. Hook.
So good.
Again, I love not necessarily. I don't know if this isn't necessarily an adaptation, but an extension of classic characters. Like, this is Peter Pan grown up. I love that. What's that next step? Storytelling.
Yeah. I think as a kid, I definitely did not appreciate how they took like this public domain character in Peter Pan and just had like, how fucking unique is the take here?
Dude.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And it was panned when it came out. That's what's insane to me.
Which is
this
bullshit.
movie is a fucking fantastic. Like, it's higher on my list.
I'm actually surprised to hear that, considering it's Spielberg, who's kind of like a media darling. I'm surprised people went after this.
I just don't even understand. Like, this movie is just makes me happy. Like, from start to finish.
It has definitely gotten better the older I've gotten as well. Yeah. Like, in a weird way, it becomes more relatable to an adult than it does a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
91, I believe.
But it works as a kid's movie too.
Oh, definitely. This would have been like kind of just before the Robin Williams Assance, right? Like 91.
So I made this comment to Jeff. I think a really fun defensive villains and offensive heroes would be Peter Pan and Captain Hook, because I think there's some arguments to be made.
I mean, you could argue Hook. As a kid, you don't see it that way because Hook scares the shit out of you.
Right.
But they almost play it straightforward. Like, think about how fucking vindictive and psychologically manipulative what Peter does at the end of Captain Hook is.
Yeah,
it's sick.
I just think there's an episode there for us. We could break these characters down to be fun. But Hook is Hook. It always has my heart, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Look. You can't fault the guy for trying to find some treasure, right?
Yeah, no. Dude. Peter's kidnapping kids. What are we talking about here? See, I'm going to go off. No.
And who could we forget? Rufio. God,
dude, you'll love this. Bro. My old basketball hoop in my parents' house in the backyard, scratched into the metal with like a tack, has a Rufio and Peter Pan I wrote, and I scratched out Rufio and like circled Peter Pan. I was probably like 6 years old, and it's still there to this day.
That's badass.
That's awesome.
God. Yeah, that's man. We did that commentary a long time.
Long time ago. Yeah.
We missed. Fuck, we really messed up. We missed that movie's 30th anniversary last year.
Oh wow.
Damn.
We're ahead of the curve though. Like, who celebrates 30? Nobody likes turning 30. We did it 29.
That's true. Sorority girls love their 30th. It's a birthday week.
It's their 9th anniversary of their 21st birthday.
That's true. All right, we'll all wrap up with our number 73rd best. Our number 73 movie of all time. Let's actually go inverse, Banner. We'll let you wrap us up for the episode. So, Cycle, your number 74 was the cult comedy class. Actually, it's not even a cult classic anymore, I don't think. Office Space. So what is your number 73 favorite movie of all time? What
can I just say for Office Space? We didn't even reference, like, what would you do if you had $1 million? I don't know, 2 chicks at the same time. I don't think we even said that last week.
Like,
what is wrong with us?
And you laugh, but you're like, dude, that actually would be feasible if you had $1 million.
Yeah. that movie is ahead of its time. I'm just going to stick to that. Again, that movie does not get enough clout.
Do you want to come over and watch Kung Fu? Now we're back on Office Space.
Dude, yes. Yeah, that's fine. I can have that whole discussion. My number 73 is Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York.
I'm shocked this is this low with you.
So, you know what's funny is I do always inherently feel like this movie should be higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why this movie is where it is. It feels like for Scorsese, for Daniel Day-Lewis, for Leonardo DiCaprio, if you tell me today I'm getting that movie tomorrow, I'm going to be like, okay, it's fucking top 20 immediately. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, how can you have this director and these, I mean, arguably, my opinion is Daniel Day-Lewis, and I'm going to get into it way later in my list, you know, as time goes on. Daniel Day-Lewis, greatest actor, probably of all time.
Not
Leonardo, greatest actor in our generation. So, I mean, to me, 2 iconic actors. This movie does feel low to me, but for this, at the same time, when you watch this film, I feel like something's missing.
Yeah.
I think Leo, in all honesty, this might be a hot take, maybe one of his weaker roles. Daniel Day-Lewis is fantastic in this. I don't think Daniel Day-Lewis has a weak role. It was probably one of my first real introductions into who Daniel Day-Lewis was, and I kind of worked backwards. I think this came out in 2002. And I went back and watched like Last of the Mohicans and My Left Foot and really like started appreciating who Daniel Day-Lewis was. Leo, I think his accent struggles a little bit in this movie. And so I think that's part of it for like.
Was this the first time he actually had to do an accent in a film?
Probably.
I think his Django accent just fucking blows us all away. So we're kind of like.
And he's coming off. We're talking about 2002. I mean, he is as high as it can be, like from the Titanic wave that takes him to the beach. That was not a pun.
Yes, it was.
I didn't mean. No, I really like. Yeah, it worked out though. But
I landed. I stuck the landing.
Yeah, Man in the Iron Mask. Like I think he kind of got a little lazy post Titanic just for those couple of years. Like Man in the Iron Mask on the beach and things like that. And like again, Gangs of New York, he was forced to kind of be. You know, he's with Scorsese. He's with Daniel Day-Lewis. And I think honestly, you can credit this movie of getting Leo back at it. Because he was just taking these big roles they were just selling box office seats for him. But I think that's where the movie lacks just a little bit. It's just like Leo isn't as solid as he should be. But then again, it sounds like I'm bashing this movie. It's 73rd on my list. It's a fucking amazing film. It's beautifully filmed. I mean, Cameron Diaz is good too. Like, Mad-Eye Moody is in it. I always forget.
Yeah, Liam Neeson's in it.
Liam Neeson is in it at the very beginning. The music, the score is fantastic. I just feel like when you watch this movie, it's like 2 steps away from being one of the best movies of all time. And that's it, you can feel it throughout. And that's the only thing that holds it down.
I think that's the cool thing about doing these lists, though, is like we realize, and this isn't a detriment, like you're hyperbolic about a lot of films, Because at the end of the day, if you're like, oh man, that's probably a top 20 movie of all time, like you think that because of like a certain memory you have of it, but when you actually sit down and go through your list, you're like, dude, actually, there's a lot of other movies that have a special place in my heart that I need to give
Absolutely.
the respect to. For me,
Yeah, I
this
don't know how
was the
you
first
guys feel
time
about this.
I don't remember, like, I think I saw Last of Mohicans as a kid, but I didn't realize, like, oh, Daniel Day-Lewis, good actor. But this is the first time I remember seeing him in a movie like, dude, that guy kind of fucking crushes it.
Yes, same, 100%.
There's also where I realized anything that you make, if you want to make it just a little bit better, it's like adding salt to something. Put John C. Reilly in it.
Because you forget he was a serious actor.
Yeah, I know. He can literally do anything. He can't be like the main ingredient in your dish, but like he will always make it taste a little bit better.
He's garlic.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
But in a proper amount, Cycly.
No, I disagree. You need all of the garlic.
Cycly is a psychopath with garlic.
No, most people are this way.
He's
You're
like,
the
do you want
weird
some
one.
chicken with this garlic, or should we
No,
just?
you're the weird one. Your wife agrees with me.
You both need
Get
help.
out. Man, I don't know how you feel about Gangs of New York, but
I have only seen it once, and it was a really long time ago. I remember liking it, but that's about all I got.
It's worth the watch.
I just remember the iconic scene, of course, where they like all charge at each other. It's on Hulu, but it's also just south of 3 hours. So
yes, it is a chore.
Yeah, I'm not about that life right now.
Was this the first time Leo worked with Scorsese?
I think it might have been, yeah, because Leo wasn't. The thing about Leo, that's what's interesting. That's why I give credit to this movie. Leo wasn't in a lot. Like Gilbert Grape is a fantastic film, but he was really young for that.
Yeah.
He's kind of in box office films purely for his attractiveness and his being a heartthrob in the 90s. He doesn't become the actor we know him to be until the 2000s, and this is the starting off point.
It is a little crazy though, because he was basically linked to like every. Like he turned down a lot of shit before he hit it big, which is pretty ballsy.
Yeah, because after this we get Catch Me If You Can, Aviator. That's where it starts, and that's why he is who he is now.
Because he does not have many misses. One of the better agents we've probably ever seen in Hollywood. A lot of those like paycheck gigs you could have taken. Like I guarantee he was offered like Scooby Doo. You know,
dude, why not? Well, we talked about this. How he was he almost Batman?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, that's what it was.
James Cameron was attached. Yeah.
Still the weirdest conversation. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, again, his career is. We'll have to do a brothology on him someday. Where we just go through his filmography. All right, my number 73. Banner, I know you got love for this movie. The Tom Cruise sci-fi movie that has no business being as good as it is. The 2014 Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know what it is about this movie, directed by Doug Liman, who did Deadpool. It's like is there a name for the Groundhog's Day movies where you like repeat the day over and over? It's like a subgenre at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is one of the best uses of that. And Tom Cruise, for the first time in a long time, especially in the late aughts, does not play a badass. You might think when you go back through in your head like images of this movie or the trailer, oh, he's a badass killing people. No, he is someone who is he works in marketing for the U.S. military, and he basically blows like a big sponsorship deal. And as we're about to be invaded, they throw him on the front lines as a punishment, thinking it's like nothing. And then aliens come, and he ends up stuck in this time loop of the same day. And the only other person experiencing it is Emily Blunt. And I just think it's an incredibly made movie. And with all these time loop movies, every time you rewatch it, there's like little shit you catch up on. It's based on a really famous anime that actually is called Live, Die, Repeat, which was the original title for this, which I really like. I don't know why they ditched that. And Brendan Gleeson, Mad Eye Moody, is also in this, so it's all the same universe. But
he's in so many things. You're like, huh? All that shit.
He really is. Edge of Tomorrow is a movie though that like I remember watching it in theaters, and we like went in, I think, to make fun of it. Banner, you might have been there because I think it was like just post college, and no, it wasn't. It was 2014, but I think I saw it with you and Brent Berry. And we left and we were like, actually, that was really fucking good. And I've watched it at least 6 or 7 times on TV since then. And every time I'm like, damn, dude, this is an awesome movie.
I'm not a huge Tom Cruise guy. I mean, there's obviously the iconic roles that, yeah, he's great. But traditionally, I'm not a big Tom Cruise guy. And I liked him in this. I thought he was great.
Cycly, have you seen Edge of Tomorrow?
I have, but I think I saw it in 2014, and I don't think I've seen it since.
Okay. Very
I remember
interesting
liking
film.
it. I probably should give it another shot.
When I was putting my list together, it was one of those movies. It was like a Cinderella story. I just kept putting it up against a movie, and I was like, I like Edge of Tomorrow more than that movie. Shockingly, I like Edge of Tomorrow more than this movie. And it ends up at number 73 on my list. And I'll defend it.
What's beautiful about the list? It is
Absolutely.
yours. And no one can
take that away from me. Tom Cruise right now is on a couch freaking out. Although he will appear 2 more times. So don't worry, Tom. Fucking sit down, relax. Everyone's uncomfortable. All right, Banner, close us out. What is your number 73 movie of all time in your life ever?
This is one similar to you. I just kept putting it up against other movies, and I don't know how it got this high, but this is New Mutants.
Wow.
I don't like horror movies. I don't really like scary movies. I don't understand why this movie took 2.5 years to release. Or, I mean, I get it, but
it was a horrible combination of reshoots and then the Fox acquisition.
Yeah, it just had horrible luck, and it just kind of got dumped out there. I thought it was really, really good. It wasn't an X-Men movie. It was just
correct.
It was a insane asylum movie, essentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think what makes it work is I would classify it as a horror movie.
Yeah. The fact that they have superpowers, that they can do things, is not what makes it a good movie.
And
that is a non-issue in this.
Josh Boone, the director, he doesn't have horror sensibility necessarily, but he directed The Fault in Our Stars and Stuck in Love, so he's like an acclaimed director.
One of those may show up later on.
Cycly, I think this would be interesting for you to watch. So, Cycly, basically the premise to New Mutants is a girl wakes up in I don't know, Banner. It's not an orphanage. How would you describe the
like a halfway house?
Okay. She's in a halfway house with like 4 other teens, and they all have some mutant power. None of them are like X-Men level. And the head of the center is basically telling them like, yeah, you guys can leave anytime you want. We're just here to test you because you've all had like really traumatic home lives. So like you're just here as basically like rehab or therapy. And they all start to realize that they're being lied to and that there's a really nefarious plan happening at this.
I don't think I saw it. Was this the movie with Maisie Williams, right?
Yes, and Anya Taylor-Joy as well.
I remember like seeing the trailer, and maybe because it was postponed, like you guys said, like I remember being intrigued and like forgetting it existed. So I'm glad you brought it up. I forgot.
I liked it a lot. It was a big surprise 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I don't, like I said, I don't understand why Fox delayed it initially. And then obviously had bad timing with the Disney acquisition and then the pandemic hitting. So a little bit of string of bad luck, but I don't know. Really good.
I mean, it really had no business being as good as it was.
No. And I just kept going. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this, and it just kept creeping up that list.
In 2020, I just double checked for the Oscars. It was nominated for the Nerdy Chick in High School Who Got Hot award for the movie that surprised us.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
See, it's an award-winning movie.
Yeah, but you nominated that movie though.
Now we're just talking semantics.
I believe what won that year, Cycly and mine's favorite though, The Invisible Man.
Oh yeah, that was dude. I don't think I've revisited that movie.
We should check that out.
Yeah,
I'd be interested in.
We're both bachelors this weekend, so
do it. Fuck it, YOLO. All right, guys. Any last thoughts for episode 180? Cycly, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, the left lane is a passing lane. It's a fast lane. If you're driving on the highway, if you're going slower than the speed limit, you need to get to the right lane or the center lane. Get out of there. All right? Seriously, it annoys the fuck out of me if you're just going casually in the left lane.
Yeah, no one's saying you can't drive the speed limit. We're just saying you can't do it in the left lane.
No.
Right? You want to drive whatever, 70, 75.
Keep the left lane open for passing people.
Because literally, who are you helping? Like, no one's going to appreciate that. You're going to get attacked. Banner, how about you? What do you got?
Guys, just continue to pull over for emergency vehicles, please. Had an incident. I saw a bad
Again?
one. Yep.
God.
Yep. It was.
It's getting worse, man.
I know. It was a like a loop off ramp onto another highway, and they weren't letting the ambulance merge over. Guys, calm the fuck down. Somebody could be dying in the back of that ambulance.
You think with our
disgusting.
viewership by now we would have had an impact on society?
That's what's confusing me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're just not listening now.
I don't know, man. Karma is going to get you. You don't pull over for that ambulance, wait till you need one.
Yep.
Banner,
fire
just
truck?
wait till you...
It might be your fucking house on fire.
Yeah. Banner, just wait till you come and visit us in May. And you're driving through Tennessee. Oh, my God. Worst drivers.
They don't give a fuck. Great.
The worst.
Awesome. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing.
That's
with
why
you
I
that-
started the left lane thing. Sorry. Since I moved out here.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that's a new thing for you, relatively.
Yes. It's because I moved here.
She's cycling, just laying on his horn as he's so pissed off. Last thing I'll say is, guys, this has been my mantra for pretty much the last year. When you go and get your hair cut, just make smart decisions. All right. It's not permanent, as we said, it's not a tattoo, but what you do will affect you for the next month. So let's not get into the hair dyes. This isn't the time to try something new, especially if you're an adult. Just fucking be mature, you know? Be smart. Don't put...
When is the time to try something new, out of curiosity?
I would say, like, you're going on vacation, maybe. I don't know. You're at
Okay.
home.
I like that. I like that.
Because you put the barber in a bad situation. Because they know when you look like shit, but they won't say anything. But you're going to... If you make a bad choice and they cut your hair the way you ask and it looks like shit, you're going to tip them less inherently, whether you realize it or not.
It's a good point.
You're not going to walk out there with like a $10 tip when you look like shit, even if it's your fault, you know?
But devil's advocate, if I'm giving less tip, that saves me money.
Correct, but you're still the asshole.
That's what someone who's driving in front of an ambulance is like, if I pull over, I'm going to be 2 seconds later to my appointment.
There we go. That's not devil's advocate. That's just
yeah, you're just being a douche.
Fair enough.
For our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli, and the mad scientist, Brian Banner, I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek, and we are the Bro Force Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. Please follow us on Twitter at Bro Force Squad. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Letterboxd, anywhere you find your podcast. If you type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words, and our aforementioned top 100 movie lists of all time, and all of our content ever in the history of time can be found on our website, broforcesquad.com. Until next time, we have to go debate who actually won the fight between the gangs of New York. Was it the Crips?
I don't know.
Hey, oh my God. I'm going to start a whole thing.
Batman's a piece of shit. Short killer.
We need to audit Batman. His taxes have not been paid, guaranteed.
Well, dude.